Good evening, everyone. I go by the name Sotadeology. In today's video, we're going to dissect Sotadeology Lecture 16, the supremacy of time technology over AI. That is what we're going to actually discuss today. Then this particular video is going to be quite insightful and informative. So I want us to briefly go through what AI is all about and how it works in relation to the time technology. Okay, so now I want us to look at this diagram. Mainly looking at this diagram, you could see that this tape, or rather let me say digital tape that we have up there, it is known as Turing machine. So now the kind of informational structure that we have is this combination of ones and zeros. So now this tape as we have it is rigid. Now the time technology is attempting to propose this particular information structure, a kind of information structure where we have emergence of imaginary number and real number. So when we have the equilateral triangle being flipped inversely as we have it here, we have that emergence to be 0. And then the trajectory that we actually connect to these two numbers, either in this positive trajectory, will be analog in nature. What do I mean by that? This trajectory can actually assume any number. It can actually assume any number, right from 0.2, 0.5 to 1, or 0.3 or 0.5. So this trajectory can actually assume any number, and that is the analog information structure. So right here you could see in this time technology information structure, the one we have down here, we have it to be in hybrid combination of analog information structure and digital information structure. So now when you look at the one that we have here, you can actually see that when the equilateral triangle is being flipped, just as we have it like this, the emergent number will be 1 and 1. So this one is the real number, while this is imaginary number. Imaginary number is actually there to, actualize the needed balance for us to have the emergence of real number. The real numbers are the numbers that we're going to actually compute. So we can, take the real number of 0 and then take the real number of 1 to form that binary structure that we need. So now when you look at this the curved trajectory of this one, we have it to be negative, and this can as well assume any number. So right in this horizontal line, we have relativity. Relativity because when you look at this horizontal line, we have this inverse relationship of red trajectory to black trajectory to allow for that balance. So now we are looking at the supremacy of time technology over AI technology. And for you to really get the picture of what this is all about, you know that by the virtue of having the analog and digital, number combination, by having analog and digital number combinations, it's an advantage. It's one advantage. So now I want you to now focus attention on this time energy wave model that I have right here. This time energy wave model is what I usually use to visually illustrate the relationship of time to energy. And we have that relationship based on formula of everything which I will introduce to you later. So time technology is actually predicated on time, on formula of everything and time energy wave model. So now when you look at this, then you can see that here we're going to use four numbers to to have this time technology. So time technology we use quaternary. I call the four numbers quaternary instead of binary as we have in the digital information structure. So now let's look at the Big Bang, where we have the Big Bang emergence. We have positive zero right there. So that zero is a kind of zero that actually discharge. You understand? It discharges, and so we have this repelling momentum to allow for expansion of cosmological space, which is what we have right here. So we have this black curvature to be the time trajectory, while this red curvature to be the energy trajectory. So the relationship of time to energy is inverse, and so we could have that expansion. But then at this central line known as event horizon, we have a trajectory that is actually beyond the time energy wave model to connect to a positron of higher dimension, and we call that complex system. So now we have that trajectory to actually go beyond the constraint of time to energy into higher dimension to connect to the positron of higher dimension, and so we call that system, we call it a complex system. So the energy that is actually introduced right into this, right at this event horizon, we actually allow for momentum into the black hole, and so we now have this contracting nature right inside the black hole. So now when you look at this, at this present phase we have negative zero, and then we have negative zero. So the negative zero often attracts value, and so we could say that the trajectory of time and trajectory of energy are actually towards the negative zero. And then we have the equilateral triangle right inside the curvature to be suspended at that edge. And then we have +1, which is the advanced charge. And then we have -1 right here. So now the value that we have right inside the black hole is -0, because now you can see that we only have +0 at the Big Bang to eject the charge, and then right inside the black hole, because the black hole will actually absorb all the charges, and so we have it to be -0. So there you can see that we have the four numbers quaternary. So the four numbers are +0, +1, -0, -1. Unlike the binary number where we only have 0 and 1. So now that is that. But then let's quickly look at how AI works and then compare that to time energy information, or time energy, or rather let me say time technology. So in time technology we have time energy information structure. There we have an hybrid information structure of analog and digital information system. But then if we look at AI, now the formula of everything is actually derived by using chain rule. Now the chain rule that is what we use to actually have this relationship of time to energy, and then relationship of time and energy to mass worth. So by having that relationship, we can then have this suspension, because at the edge of this equilateral triangle we have convergence, which is known as arbitrary mass convergence of the classical system. So this whole region is the classical realm, while this whole region is the quantum realm. And so now at the quantum level we have another arbitrary suspension known as quantum arbitrary suspension. So now at the extreme end of the shape we must always have convergence for that shape to be instantiated, for that shape to be established. You understand? So that is why the relationship is inverse. The relationship of time to energy is inverse. The relationship of mass to time and then to energy is as well, inverse. So now let's look at how AI works. Now when you look at the diagram that I have right here, you can see that we have this neuron, and the neuron, it has all these branches, so they can actually attract input. So let's say we have different signal, like this circle signal, this star signal, and this red signal. They will be absorbed by the neuron, and then neuron will process all those signals right inside this space, and then we will have the output, unified output, as we have it right here. So now when we now have the network of these neurons working together, we have what is known as artificial neural network. Now this is how it works. Learning procedure. The learning procedure, we have this particular function for the learning, we have this equation as the learning equation, where we have n sub 1, probably that stands for neuron, equal to m sub 1 x plus b sub 1. Now the m stands for the weight multiplied by the input. The input is x, and then we add that to the bias value. So when, for instance, let's say we have 10x. So x is the input, we have 10. That 10, when we have it here, we multiply it with the weight. So if the weight is 2 times 10, we have it to be 20. And then if the bias value is 4, 20 plus 4 will give us 24. And so we're going to repeat that for this linear trajectory, this horizontal trajectory, and then the inverse of this particular diagonal trajectory we do for that too. So basically you can see that here we have this input to be 10, we have this weight to be 2, but the inverse of that, of this one, we have it to be 1. The reason we have it to be so is simply because they are not equal. It's because the inverse of anything you get is not the same thing as the real value. And that is why we have it like this. So by doing the multiplication and the addition, we're going to have these values. And then there is another stage where the value must be normalized. We call it normalized vector. And once we have it being normalized, then we're going to have the total output to be 1. Now, that is just by using this learning equation alone. After that, we need to use chain rule for us to engage back propagation. And that back propagation will now, use the ideal weight to, re-regulate the output. So the back propagation will adjust, the difference between the ideal result and then the biased output, for us to have close approximation to the real worth or even the real worth. That is how it works. Now, when you look at that, that is somehow similar to this formula of everything. You can see formula of everything right here. The T, the M equal to capital UM plus 4M. Now, by deriving this formula of everything, we use using chain rule of differential calculus. And so we have everything embedded in the formula of everything, unlike the way we have it for the AI, where we have the learning equation and then have the chain rule for back propagation. So basically, what we have here is just, using the electrons mass worth in the formula of everything to get all this value. When you put the value of electron in the place of these two m's, you are going to get the counterpart, which is the classical mass, which is 2,277,250,000 kilograms. And then we can actually reiterate the application of formula of everything to, traverse the classical realm and quantum realm like that. So now, I want us to briefly look at, the derivation of formula of everything as we have it right here. So this is the formula. This 4M is the weak conveying force. This capital UM is, the strong conveying force. Then we have this the TDM to be the curvature of time to energy. So now the 4 that we have here is time conveying value. So now when you look at the derivation of this formula by using chain rule, we have it to be dt dm equals to dt de times de dm. And so if we say t is equal to e squared, for t equal the function of e, where e equal to m squared plus 1. Therefore, e can then be the function of g m, which is, the function of gravitation. Thus, t equal e squared will then be, m squared plus 1, put everything in brackets squared. Once we have that, then if we do the derivation of the dt de, we have it to be 2e. Derivation of de dm will be 2m. By chain rule, we're going to have it to be 2e times 2m, and that gives us 4em. Now, by having this to be 4em, we can actually substitute this, this value, this component that we have right here, and if we put that right inside, we substitute that in this 4em, what we're going to have will then, before we open the bracket, we have m squared plus 1, we close the bracket, we have m right there. When we solve that, we're going to have 4m squared plus 4m. Now the 4m squared stands for strong nuclear force, and that is where we are able to combine all the 4 forces of the universe. And then this 4m stands for weak nuclear force. Then if we solve this further, 4em of 4m squared, just as we have it, we serve as placeholder. So as t equal e squared, for t is the function of E, which is energy, where energy is mc squared. So here we now use the Einstein equation, which is E equals mc squared. We substitute that for energy, and once we do that, then we're going to have it to be this 4em equal to 4. We put the mc squared right inside the formation. So we put it right inside the formation, right inside what we're deriving. And so then we have this value plus 1, we have m outside. So now here, everything all together, we have it to be integration of gravitational force. But this particular 4mc squared, as we have it right here, that is the integration of electromagnetic force. So electromagnetic force. So there you can see that we have all the four fundamental forces of the universe. So the TDM equal to 4. So we can substitute the gravitational force of sun, which is this particular value, then put the value of light speed right inside the formula. And finally, we have this to be the formula of everything. We can replace this constant of the universe with capital U, and then we have this particular value. So that is how formula of everything is actually derived for us to then have this time technology. The time technology is the technology that we can actually use to buy time for this particular era. By having time technology, it will solve the problem, the quantum computing problem, because it will annihilate, or it will actually get rid of the inherent noise in the quantum computing. And so we could have time technology computer. Time technology computer is quite different from quantum computer in the sense that it uses four numbers, and so we call that quaternary. I call that quaternary. And so we have this hybrid information. We have hybrid structure, which is the combination of analog to information. I mean, combination of analog to digital. So once you so now when you look at what we have right here, the time technology, we are actually stopping it at this event horizon, because its power is so superb that if we should explore the whole circle as we have it right here, we're going to have the back propagation, and that is even more powerful than the back propagation of AI. The kind of back propagation that we have there could allow us to have super intelligence, you understand? So it would accelerate us to have that artificial super intelligence. You understand? So basically, it is ideal for us to stop it at this event horizon, so as to have a kind of computer that can give people advanced skills and then empower them to be employable in the era of AI, so that they can actually boost the demand side of market, because AI will only boost the supply side of market. And that could crush our global economy. And that is why I'm actually proposing this time technology, to have that needed balance to boost economy. So now, time technology is so powerful, extremely powerful even than AI, because it could actually lead to intelligence on itself. It's a system, because when you look at it, it has same structure with AI equations. It has same structure with the learning equation of AI. It has embedded chain rule, differential derivation, and also AI learning. This thing, AI learning system, has this back propagation, which is derived using chain rule. So now it's a powerful system. And so that is that. From that, you could see that time technology is actually superior to AI, but we can actually stop its operation at event horizon to have the needed computer to empower people to actually boost the demand part of market in this era of AI. That is the only solution that we have that can actually buy us time, because the AI as we know it, it has this tendency of developing the drive to control people, because it will have ego the moment, and it is not even the moment, because it's actually using free will. since it can actually create some goals to arrive at, the main goal of the creator. So definitely we know that might be so dangerous to human race. So basically this time technology will actually buy us time. It will elongate the economy for a while before. I do not pray that we have economic recession. You understand? So that is that. So time technology is what we need. It's a saving grace for the whole human race at this point in time. And so I will put link to my research publication in the description below. I want you to subscribe to this channel so that you can get to know about my subsequent upload. Share this with your friend. I want you to travel as far and quick as possible. And then, yes, that is just it. You have it. Time technology, the supremacy of time technology over AI. So if you want to know more you really want to know more about this, get get my, what is it called, get the publication, then connect, subscribe to my YouTube channel so that you can watch Sotadeology lecture series. Everything, you watch the old Sotadeology lecture series for you to understand the concept. Then another thing I want to briefly share with you is that I'm currently on COVID. You can support me right there by donating so that that will actually boost, it will support me, it will boost my scientific endeavors and collaborations. And currently I'm working on advanced research on time travel. So people have been supporting that on COVID. So that COVID, I have it to be what I have right here, which is www.ko-fi.com/Shotade Olusegun, all together like this. Thank you. God bless you.